Well, there's a lot going on in the world. We hope you're doing well this Wednesday. Well, I'm Leslie Glass, and today we're taking a deep dive into what parents can do to keep their teens and themselves happy and safe this year. We literally cannot overstate the challenges your teens are facing right now. Lindsay, what's going on in the world?
Well, there's a lot going on in the world, and if you follow current events, there has been stuff going on online in the last week specifically that we really think it's very, very important to talk to parents about how to talk to these things about your teens, about what's going on. We've seen some political events happen in the last week, and they have been shown over and over online. The video of Charlie Kirk has been circulating. There has been a lot of response to that video. And we really think that this is a moment to talk to parents about what your responsibilities are here. Because here's the truth. If you're parenting teens, it is your responsibility to keep your teens safe, to keep other teens safe, and to make sure that not only do you know what's going on with your teen, but you know if they are going down the wrong path, to get involved. It is your responsibility to get involved. So,
You may feel right now that you're powerless because your kids are traumatized, and in fact, one in every teen in this country from the age of 12 to 18 is having a mental health issue, either depression, anxiety, or one of many other
yeah,
issues.
I mean, a big business of ours is prevention. So that's another thing. Kids, teenagers, they're responding to this. They're feeling stressed. They're feeling overwhelmed. And this is a moment where they can turn to substances or something else that's going to help make them feel better or soothe them in this incredibly anxious moment. And that's absolutely the worst thing that they can be doing for themselves. So, one of the things Leslie was saying to me earlier, and I think this is really, really important, even if you think your child shares your values, you do not want to be the one who has to turn them in because they have done something. So we're just going to start with the teen brain.
Let's talk just for 1 second about some elementary school boys who destroyed their local the library in their school. Their parents had to turn them in, and the Charlie Kirk incident. It was a parent that actually, it wasn't the FBI that came in.
It was parents that are turning these kids in.
And it is your responsibility if your teen does something. But this is the time that we think it's really important for you to know who your children's friends are. Yeah. And where they're getting their ideas from. So yeah. let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, I think we need to start with the teen brain, because as parents, one of the things that you may know, you may not know, so we're just going to remind you, the teenage brain is under construction. The brain is not developed until you are 25 years old. This means that teenagers, you can expect them to have trouble with impulse control, with making good decisions, with being responsible, and this is why moods, risk-taking, and peer influence are so intense, but also why they can make such an incredible impact on your kid right now. So let's do a little deep dive into the teenage brain. So it's not developed until you're 25. So what that means is the last part of the brain to finish wiring is the prefrontal cortex. And this is the area that is responsible for logic, planning, long-term thinking, weighing risks. Meanwhile, the amygdala, the emotional center, is in complete overdrive, okay? That's why teenagers, it's the big emotions first and thoughtful reflections after. So number one, we need to remember that teenagers are acting on their emotions and probably on bad judgment. So what does that mean in real life?
Well, I just want to say that as the brain is developing, the fastest time that the brain is developing is between the ages of 1 and 3, and then it's developing very, very quickly in grammar school. But by the time you're hit to be 15, the brain actually slows down. So the brain is not as developing as quickly between the ages of 20 and 25 as it was in the younger age. But what does it mean for a teen whose emotions may be all over the place. Okay, your teen may not be able to listen to you.
Yeah.
Your teen may be hiding things they don't want you to know.
They can't, it's very hard to pause.
Yeah.
The things that come blurting out of their mouth, making a risky choice.
Being more likely to prioritize the short-term goal or reward like fun, pure approval, instant gratification, over long-term consequences.
And you have to consider how sleep, hormones, stress, and all of these things can be incredibly intensified, especially, again, we're going to keep bringing it back to current events. When current events like this happen and kids are under this level of stress, again, they're not coming from a place of thoughtful reflection. They are reacting to the information that they are taking in at that moment. And we want to say something. We are not licensed mental health professionals.
We're coaches.
We're certified coaches and we're writers. We've written books about this. So we will always say consult a professional, consult teachers, consult guidance counselors, consult therapists.
Do your own research.
Yeah, so it's really important if your kid is high drama, if your kid can't control their moods, if your kid is making really risky decisions, maybe this is something you want to think about and consider, is this normal? Or maybe do we need a little bit more guidance with this kid? Does this kid maybe need a little bit more in terms of boundaries and supervision? And again, every situation is different, every family is different, every kid is different. What we are reacting to right now is what we are seeing going on with teenagers.
And the fact that teens are very seriously traumatized. A lot of them are actually afraid to go to school.
Yes.
But I think what's really important is that as you look at your children, they may look like they're all grown up, they may look like adults, but you have to remember that the teen brain of a 15-year-old, 18-year-old, even 20-year-old is not the brain of a fully developed adult. So I think compassion is really called for. And
Perfect. Yeah.
compassion is called for. So
how can you respond appropriately to this?
All right.
So we know what's happening. So what do? When your kid does something really impulsive, instead of being angry or being judgmental, maybe there's something along the lines where you can say, what was going through your mind when you decided to do that?
Mm-hmm.
And really helping them think it through. Teach them skills they don't have yet. If you know that kids are making risky decisions, they have trouble with problem solving, emotional regulation, this is the time.
Mm-hmm.
Teach them how to self-soothe. Teach them some techniques, whether it's breathing or getting them into some kind of exercise or journaling. There are self-soothing techniques that honestly I wish I had learned as a 13, 14, 15-year-old that really, really would have helped. So if you have skills, if you know what you think your kids should be doing, you have to teach them. You have to model it for them, and you have to teach them.
Like planning their time, planning if they're in a difficult situation what they need to do, planning how to react if they're in an uncomfortable situation. Who do they go to? Who can they talk to?
And don't just do it once.
No, you have to do it every
Stay
day.
connected. This is an ongoing conversation. And another great thing is, like, if you could have a weekly conversation or monthly check-in with your kid and kind of cross off all the how's school, how your friends, how's your emotional health, and really get into a habit of having these more open discussions and expect inconsistency. Nobody learns how to do anything without making big mistakes, without feeling like a failure. So expect that inconsistency, and don't feel bad when it happens.
Also, don't talk down to your kids. Don't talk down to them and lecture them.
Yeah.
I think you have to engage them. And it's a tough fine line between being the parent, being responsible, telling them what boundaries are, and engaging them in a way that they can feel, well, you're on the same team.
Well,
We're on the same
encouragement,
team.
encouragement,
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
So one of the things I'm so proud of my mom for is she's incredibly supportive and encouraging now. When I was younger, it really felt like criticism. She's a perfectionist. She wanted me to do a good job, and I really struggled with that. Wanting everything to be perfect, wanting things to be good enough. But today, she's like, "You're amazing! Good job! Go get him, sweetie! And you know, it doesn't matter if I did a terrible job. You know, she's really there, and it makes all the difference in the world. So the next thing we want to talk about is boundaries and communication. And here's the thing, parents. It's really hard to parent teens. We know this. We're not saying it isn't, but these teenagers need boundaries. They need boundaries, especially right now. So here's the thing. Teens are going to test boundaries because that's what they do, right?
Of course, it's the same as the toddlers.
So I was a nightmare, right? What
Terrible.
did I test boundaries around?
Your freedom to go and run around the city. Curfews. Well, we didn't really have devices in those days, but if we had devices, you would have been on them.
Let me say though, we did have telephones in the 1900s, and my brother and I would devise schemes to get our friends to call so often that our parents got annoyed and eventually got us our own telephone line. So, you know, if we were coming up with schemes before there were devices, I can only imagine what's going on now. But yeah, they're going to sneak their phone into their room. They're going to try. My 10-year-old niece steals my phone and goes on TikTok.
Yeah.
Because she's not allowed to go on TikTok. I don't consider a 10-year-old to be, you know, looking for too much trouble. It's just what she does.
Well, let's talk about devices.
Okay.
I mean, let's talk about how dangerous it is to be on devices, because that's where your kids are going to find friends.
Yeah.
That's where they're going to find games that may be addictive.
Yeah.
And take them away from the sleep that they need, or take them into compare and despair with other kids that they're looking at.
So we actually have some words for you if your kid is fighting with you about the phone, you know, and a lot of kids will be like, well, you don't trust me. And the answer is, I do trust you. This is about health and safety, and we have boundaries around certain sites, certain phone use, certain games. It has nothing to do with trust. It has to do with, I'm the adult and I know what is good for your mental health and well-being. And we have to maintain these rules while you are under my roof.
Yeah, that is the key word, under my roof. You're under my roof and you're receiving my care and you're my responsibility, and I have to make sure that you're not going to places that can harm you.
And I think this has to apply to all the boundary issues. So whether it's homework, whether it's phone limits, whether it's a curfew, you know, the answer really has to be from, you know, parents. First of all, like homework, this is your responsibility, not mine. You know, the kid could be like, well, why are you always on my case about this? And it's because, you know, my job is to help you succeed. It's not about getting the A. It's about doing the best that you can. And if I'm sitting here watching you play video games all day and not studying for your test, I am not doing my job to help set you up for success. You know, and this is again where consistency is really important. Now,
Can't do it just once.
no. And my brother and I were master manipulators in kind of getting them to agree to something, or we have a boundary and slowly breaking that boundary, chipping away at that boundary. So let's give another example. My poor nieces, we're going to use our nieces again. One of them wanted an iPad, or they wanted to go she wants to be able to message her friends, right? And
she has the iPod, but it doesn't have
messaging on it.
No.
So it's funny to watch this child starting to break us down and break our parents down. Well, can I have this but not this? Well, can I have this program, but I can't message my friends on it yet because it doesn't actually have SMS access. You know, and it's like they're debating.
And then the younger one is saying, wait, if she gets it at 12,
yes.
I get it at 10.
Yes.
Right? Why does she get it at 10?
Right.
I mean, they're devious. I don't mean
we've gotten into the nieces, but you know, in terms of teens, we can only imagine how much worse it gets.
It is going to get worse because teens, by definition, want to think they're adults.
Yes.
They want to wear adult clothes. They want to do adult activities. they may start wanting to use alcohol.
And it's your job as the parents to set these boundaries and keep them. And I think, there are a couple of different things. There's encouragement, and then there's also accountability. So you want to really encourage them while they're doing these things, even if they're kind of failing, but also accountability. If you promised you were going to study and get above a C and you didn't, well,
Yep, there you go.
maybe the phone is gone for a week or two, but really set boundaries, set consequences, and keep to them, because that's the way kids learn. They're just not going to learn without it.
And parents may have to learn how to do this. I certainly didn't know. I was not a good teen parent.
All right, great. Let's talk about that. So modeling good behavior is a huge part of parenting teens, right? So it's very, very hard to say to your teen, don't be on your phone at dinner time if you're on your phone at dinner time.
And don't say don't be drinking if you're starting to drink at 5 o'clock in the afternoon every day.
It's a complicated issue.
Very complicated.
If you do not want your, we grew up in a house where there was drinking every day. So to me, that was very normal. And I remember the first time somebody said, I think you have a problem. And I was shocked. I really was. I was like, what?
What?
Because to my experience,
this is what people do.
This is what people were modeling around me. So that's a really tough thing. And again, it's no judgment on you parents. Trust me, we're not judging anybody. What we're worried about is what we've seen in the last few weeks. And we just want to remind everybody that, your kids are learning stuff on the internet. Your kids are learning stuff from their friends.
Mm-hmm.
And we want you to know what they're learning, and we want you to be able to talk about what they're learning.
Well, I think we have to go back to the idea that parents are very busy. They have a lot of responsibilities, and this is a very difficult time for parents as well, because we are negotiating a whole new world in this country. So about jobs, about healthcare, about so many different things. So parents learning how to be consistent and be encouraging and take responsibility takes a commitment that maybe we didn't have so much in earlier days.
I totally agree with that. You're under a lot bigger pressures. The dangers are more dangerous. The substances are more evil.
Yeah.
The risks and the people who have access to your teenagers are more nefarious. So some of the really big hot button issues parents face. All right, so social media. The last few weeks on social media have been absolutely painful. I don't care who you are, what age you are, what side of the political spectrum you're on. There has been so much distasteful stuff on the internet as a result of some of these events in the past few weeks that as an adult, it is stressful and traumatic for me to be seeing this and reading this every day. And again, it's not about what political side you're on. It's not about what you believe. It's about letting hateful speech from either side infiltrate you and your children every single day, all day long, putting ideas in your children's heads that maybe you don't agree with. So when it comes to social media, you have to do what you feel is right. But if you feel that your kids shouldn't be looking at something, or you really need to be talking to them about it and explaining to them why you think this is bad. If they are on these sites, and I don't want to say them, but if they're on some of these sites where a lot of this, chatter is going on, it's so crucial that you're asking them, how is this making you feel? What are you thinking about this? Are you having any reactions to this that we need to talk about? Because we're not here to be critical. We're not here to punish you. Once again, as parents, our job is to make sure that you are safe and mentally healthy. So how do we, put in some digital boundaries if what you are seeing and reading every day is making you anxious? Let's be realistic.
Or making you want to do something. I want to do something about this.
That's right. So I'm an adult. I am not looking at certain things right now because it is disruptive.
Taking a break. How about taking a break? How about setting up some boundaries around taking a break and maybe you're going to do it for a week or two. Maybe you're going to stay off your devices, certainly from 5 o'clock until bedtime, until you go to bed.
And I also think you're allowed to get real specific. If you are watching things, if you're experiencing things, the question is, are you feeling anxiety? Are you feeling depression? Is there any bullying you're witnessing?
Mm-hmm.
Are you feeling FOMO, which is a fear of missing out? Are you losing interest in school or other things because you're becoming preoccupied with what you're reading or playing online?
Mm-hmm.
We want to know. And
if they're afraid to go to school, if they're afraid to go to church or synagogue,
right,
if they're afraid,
yeah,
need to address that.
We need to talk about it.
Yeah.
And again, this is where if you want them to be engaging in healthy behavior, you have to model it.
Yeah.
You have to get on board. And the truth is, in our issue, I had substance abuse problems, and when my mom stopped drinking, my life got easier.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a huge change for her to make in her lifestyle. But guess what? It probably made my recovery easier. So, how much are you willing to do for your kids?
I didn't know that drinking, having a drink, having a martini every day at 5 o'clock, or having my children watch me have a glass of wine every day as I was cooking, it was influencing the idea that they could do it even at 15, 16, 17, 18. I didn't really know, I didn't understand how my drinking would impact their lives.
Right.
But I did learn very quickly that when I stopped drinking, and I only did it as an experiment. I never thought in a million years I would stop drinking forever. But when I stopped drinking, I began to see a huge difference in myself, as well as a huge difference in both of my children. But the difference in myself was that I wasn't getting so emotional about everything. Alcohol heightens all of your reactions. Let's talk about alcohol and teens.
Okay.
Why are teens so vulnerable to alcohol?
Okay, so let's say alcohol, substances, and risky behavior.
Oh.
Okay, so why are teens so vulnerable? It really comes down to three things. One, brain chemistry.
Yep.
Because the prefrontal cortex isn't fully developed, teens are wired to look for novelty, excitement. I can say from personal experience, using substances as a teenager absolutely lit up the reward pathway. It made me feel invincible. It made me feel better. I was struggling with depression and anxiety and grief. And having something that I could take that made me feel instantly better, it felt like I'd found a magic solution, not like I was doing something bad. So that's a really big thing with your kid. If your kid may be using more to feel better,
well, as a solution, as a medication.
Yeah.
Now, when you're an adult, you may be having a glass of wine to take the edge off.
Right.
It didn't change my entire.
Right.
It didn't change anything for me. It didn't put me into a risky situation. And I think the same is true for cannabis for adults and for young people. For adults, having weed is not necessarily a big deal.
Right.
But for a teenager, it actually changes your brain function.
So another big risk is peer influence. So once again, the teenage brain actually values peer approval more than anything else. So the kind of everybody's doing it, or somebody that you like or want to impress is doing it, that is actually going to be more important to a teenager in that moment than possibly the consequences.
Or your parents saying, don't do that, because when you're in the situation, the teen may forget.
Right. So the other big vulnerable, and this was definitely my vulnerability, was stress and escape. Mm-hmm. So for me, it really was self-medicating, escapism, and I was escaping from social anxiety, family tension, and kind of some of the grief I was dealing with. So what do? How do we talk to our kids about it?
We have to acknowledge reality.
There we go.
We have to say, look, I know this is difficult for you. And if we're talking specifically about drugs and alcohol, I think it's important to say, I know you're gonna be offered stuff. Let's talk about how to handle it. And that's really important. And I think it's also important to say, you know, it's not our family values for teens to start drinking. It's not our family thing.
Here's another thing. Sometimes it's the friends. So maybe your teen doesn't want to do it, but some friends are, or they're witnessing other kids doing it. And that can go one of two ways. They can either want to be involved or they can be very worried. So the other thing you can do is talk to them about, you know, here are the signs to look out for in your friends and even siblings, that if they are engaging in substance or any other kind of use or behavior, you know, let's really pay attention. Like, are they suddenly changing their friends? Are they suddenly losing interest in school or grades, or, you know, quitting the teams they were on, quitting cheerleading?
You quit a team.
I quit the tennis team. Are they suddenly becoming very and mood swings?
But I really want to go back to, what do you tell your kids when you're going through this? I know your friends and the other people around you are going to be using. What are you going to do, and what can you say in those situations? What can you do? What should parents tell their kids?
Well, I think the kid needs a plan.
There you go.
So whether it's a script of things they can say in that moment that are very clear. Oh, my parents drug test me.
Yeah.
Oh, I have a test in the morning. Oh, I forgot. I have to go pick up my little sister.
I'm allergic. It makes me throw up.
Yeah, you have to be armed and ready to know what to say if you don't want to be engaging in that behavior. You know, people are going to offer it to you.
Or if you're uncomfortable, to have a word, have a code with your mother or your father to come and pick you up.
Come and get you.
Come and get you. It's not, sometimes it may not be enough just to say, no, thank you.
Yeah. And if we want to get into kind of the healthy boundaries and consequences of this, you know, Leslie was saying it before, but set really clear expectations. You know, we don't underage drink in this house.
No, we don't do it.
And that's just a rule, and be consistent. So if they're breaking the rule, you know, you have to calmly follow through with the agreed upon consequences.
Yeah.
And if they yell and scream and slam doors, just know you're probably saving their lives.
Yeah.
So don't feel bad.
It's really okay to say, look, we don't do that. You're going to have a whole lifetime of doing this.
Yeah.
You're going to have a whole lifetime. When you're an adult, you can do whatever you want.
And
as long
again,
as you're here.
avoid the scare tactics
Yeah.
and lectures. I think that teens often tune that right
They don't
out.
like it.
You know, tie it to things they care about. If you want me to trust you, if you want freedom,
Yeah.
if you want opportunities, if you want money, if you know, all these things, this is how you have to behave to get what you want.
I like that.
And then of course, keep the door open. Say to them, no matter what's happening, you can come talk to me about it.
Would you have come to talk to me about it?
Had you said, I don't know.
So, well, that's a very important. Keep the door open, but I think what you can tell your teen is, have somebody that you can talk to if you're worried.
Absolutely.
You can talk to me. I'm really not going to be. I promise, I won't be judgmental. But your teen needs to have somebody that they can talk to, whether it's a grandmother, a grandfather, an aunt,
Somebody
to talk to.
Okay, so we're kind of down to our final big topic, and then we'll talk about how to help parents cope. But don't forget, if you like these, please like the video. Please subscribe to our YouTube. We are sharing all of our knowledge to help you, so we really appreciate it. If you want, write comments, send us questions. You can find us at reachoutrecoverymedia@gmail.com. If you do know us, you can always DM us or send us an email.
Yeah.
We love to hear from you. We don't mind at all. So the next one, the final one, is the biggest one on my list, because I was a teen who struggled with mental health and pressure. So here are the things to know as parents. Academic and social pressures are higher than ever.
Yes.
Go ahead. We said it before, but
I'm thinking.
did you lose your spot?
No, academic and social pressures are higher than ever. So I think it's really important, once again, find out what they're watching.
And if it's triggering them.
And if it's triggering them, find out if somebody's bothering them at school.
Yeah.
Find out, because I remember a child of mine was having trouble at camp one year, and I could see that the kid was really, really, really suffering. And I went to the head of the camp and I said, something is wrong. And he said, it's never something, it's always someone.
Ooh, that's
It's
interesting.
always someone. So it's really important to find out who's bothering them.
Okay, so asking questions about anxiety, depression,
People in their lives.
mood swings, and again, that very open door policy of being able to talk to me about when you're feeling upset and why. And also do a little research, find out what's normal and what's above and beyond. A lot of kids are normally anxious. Some kids have anxiety disorders. So you do want to learn, is my kid responding appropriately to what's going on in the world and just feeling anxious and afraid?
Which
Or
is not abnormal.
Not
That's
at all.
totally normal.
Or is this kid now exhibiting signs of real anxiety and depression, which could lead to something, and this is what we believe. Again, this is what we believe. If you're worried, you should be. If they won't talk to you, have them talk to somebody else. I can't believe we have to say this in this day and age, but even if you are hunters and you have weapons in the house, lock them up. We had family in Wyoming, we have family from Texas. We understand there are a lot of people who don't say anything. There are a lot of people who have to keep these things in the home for safety, if you live on a farm, all of the above. But if you have an anxious or depressed teenager in the house, they should be locked up at all times.
All of your weapons, any kind of weapon you
At
have.
all times.
Yeah.
So, and if you're open to it, normalize talking about therapy and coping skills. What these kids need today are healthy coping skills. It's not going online and scrolling when they already feel anxious and depressed. There's a wonderful family I follow online. They have 16 dogs. They live on a ranch. This family is working at all times to manage this ranch and these dogs. And to looking back and saying, oh my God.
Environment. What can you do to engage your kids in healthy activities?
Yeah, in the pandemic, we were doing crossword puzzles, jigsaw puzzles.
We still do.
But I really think, that moment when you can connect as a family and be engaging in healthy activities as opposed to just everybody being on their phone.
Healthy conversations too.
Yeah, is really, really helpful. All right, we're going to wrap it up.
Okay.
And what we're going to talk about is what helps parents cope. So again, these are unprecedented times. We're not trying to judge you. We're just trying to give some tips on what might help. We understand. I personally, I can't imagine being the parent of 3 little ones right now, having a job, having to support them, having to support myself, being in recovery. It's overwhelming. All right, so number 1, and it doesn't matter if it's recovery, if it's being parent, connect.
Yeah.
Connect with other parents. Whether it's through the parents, through your own school, through your religious organization. There are magazines, there are podcasts, there are chat rooms. If you have an issue with your child, someone else has it and they're talking about it.
Well, volunteering too. All families that get together to help other people in need, whether they have children of all ages, and those children are helping with food banks or helping with distributing water or anything like that, that can raise the emotions and the mood of everybody in the family.
Absolutely. As parents, they have to practice self-care.
Parents do.
Yeah, what does that look like for you? I definitely have friends and they're telling me, oh, I've got to do this and I've got to do that and I've got to do the other. And I stop them for a minute and I say, well, what are you doing for yourself today? And it doesn't matter if it's just picking up a bite of food or finding 5 minutes of calm. When you're not doing any self-care for yourself, you are giving yourself the message that you don't matter. And we internalize it. when we're running around doing for others in a constant state of anxiety, it's actually having physical effects on your own body and your own mental health. And as we all know, you can't help others when your cup is empty. You have to fill your own cup first. And then, you know, lots of encouragement. Go where it's warm. Go to the people who are going to help you, support you, family members that can help you get that 5 minutes of calm. You know, you don't have to be perfect, parents. That's not what anybody's looking for. What we're looking for is something reliable, something steady, and a safe place to land. That's really what your kids want.
And self-care can also be getting your family members to help.
Yes.
I mean, setting the table, clearing up, cleaning up, learning how to cook, preparing the dinners, going to the store. There are many things that children, teenagers can do. They may make a fuss, but if they get engaged with family tasks, then they're engaged with the family.
Absolutely. So that is kind of our live for parenting teens. Obviously, there are a lot of issues here, and we're just kind of doing a quick overview and some tips of what to do. But based on the events of the last week, we really just wanted to remind parents that this is the moment to step in, know what's going on with your parents, turn the safety features on, turn the apps off if you need to, and give everybody a break so that they can have a moment to reflect on themselves, on the family, and what you can do as a family to support each other through these incredibly complicated times.
Feeling hopeful instead of helpless. This is really important. So thank you for joining us. We look forward to seeing you next time.
Like the video.
Like the video.
Like the
us.
video.
Like the video.